Wyrmspan is a reimagining of Wingspan with dragons, and I don't know you, but everything that doesn't have dragons, I tend to believe it can be made better by adding dragons to it, so I was definitely very excited when I heard about this game. And on top of having a different theme and really awesome art with a lot of awesome dragons, this game also has a couple of other things that are different from the original Wingspan. The idea is still that you will be creating your own tableau, your own environment of, well, this time dragons, and then you'll use that to activate different kind of actions. You have 4 rounds. At the end of each round, the players will score a specific thing that corresponds to a tile that is placed there at the beginning of the game. And there are multiple tiles. This is not all of them. They're double-sided. So a lot of different things will score. For example, if the game has been set up this way this time, then at the end of round 1 we see who has the most hatchlings. If this is the setup, we see who has the most small dragons, and players place cubes here to indicate their ranking in who has the most small dragons, the most large dragons, the most aggressive dragons, and so on and so forth. And ties are super friendly. So that's what we do at the end of a round, and that's one of the many sources of points that we have. At the end of the 4th round, we add victory points from all possible sources, and the player with the highest score wins the game. So each player has their own habitat, which includes 3 caves: the Wyrmspan Cavern, the Golden Grotto, and the Amethyst Abyss. Of those, only a single section of each has already been excavated. The other ones we need to excavate during the game using cavern cards, and there are 3 of them that will be available in the display there. And then, of course, we have dragon cards, and again, 3 are available on the display. And you will have game effects that will give you cavern cards and or dragon cards from the display, or possibly allowing you to draw them from the deck. So caverns, we gotta excavate some of those first because we need our dragons to go somewhere. Now, gameplay is pretty simple. Each turn, a player will take an action, and the 3 possible actions are to excavate, to entice, or to explore. You receive 6 coins each turn, and all the actions cost a coin, plus there are several other costs to pay that may require extra coins. So basically, you can think of these as action tokens. If you decide to take the action of excavate, and you may want to use your little explorer there to indicate the action you're taking, you always spend a coin just for the privilege of excavating, and that will allow you to take a cavern card from your hand and place it on your board. There's always a cost of 1, and remember, each cavern already has a section that has been excavated, and you excavate from left to right. So when you excavate, you will place a cavern card in the leftmost available slot in a cavern. The first time that you build something, there is in a cavern, there is no extra cost. And as you go deeper, then you'll need to pay eggs. So excavate in this section here, for example, as you see from up there, will cost you an extra egg. There you go. Cost you an extra egg. And excavating the 3rd empty slot in a cavern requires 2 eggs. Again, on top of your coin. And that's how we put down caverns. Also, you see those symbols there at the bottom connected to this symbol that represents playing something on your tableau. And that's how you gain different things. So the caverns will give you different advantages that trigger only once when you play the card. And a very common thing that caverns do, as you have already seen, is to give you resources. We have 4 basic resources: milk, that dragon hatchlings really enjoy, crystals, meat, and gold. And that's pretty much for how we excavate. Then it's time to entice our dragons, and that's when we play them on the board. You're gonna have a hand of cards representing dragons. The art is just so cool. I really like it. Dragons are ranked for number of victory points. Very good. They'll be worth that many points at the end of the game. They may be hatchlings or not, if it doesn't say so. They may have a number of egg slots. That is the number of eggs that you can place on your dragon when there is an effect that tells you to lay eggs. And if you don't have available slots on your board or on your dragons, well, too bad, then you're skipping that. Then we have code words here that may trigger different effects. Say again, the player with the most aggressive dragons. That may be a scoring condition. Here's the cost. Here's the cost that you pay to play that dragon on top of, as usual, our coin. And some dragons that are really cool also, they will cost you extra coins, so those are tricky, but again, very neat. Then the habitat where they want to go. This dragon, for example, a bit finicky. This dragon only wants to go in the golden grotto, as you can see from that yellow band there. This one, I placed it up there, which was legal, but would have been also happy to go at the bottom in the amethyst. A lot of the hatchlings like the bottom of the mountain, and so a lot of them like to go here. And here, for example, I will need to spend an egg and 3 milk. A bit of inexpensive hatchlings. Again, I can place them here because the cave has already been excavated, but I could not place a dragon right there unless I place a cavern first. Then that works. Again, spending whatever costs. Some dragons will give me advantages when I play them, like this one will give me, a coin and a step on the guild. We'll see what that means later. Others have the symbol here of our little explorer, and that's pretty useful. Oh, he doesn't want to go there. That's pretty useful, and we'll see later why those are useful. So that's how we entice our dragons. Play a coin, play the cost indicated on the dragon, play from your hand into the leftmost excavated space in a cave. Done! Now we get to an action that takes, later in the game, will take a little longer to resolve. The action of exploring, which is when your explorer walks through a cave and collects rewards from all the dragons and from other things printed on the cave itself. So there are 3 caves that our explorer can explore after committing to that action. Suppose the explorer wants to go there. The first time in a round that you go to a cave, you play a coin, and you play it there, you pay it there, so there's a reminder of how many times you explored that cave this round. If the explorer wanted to explore the cave again this round, see the cost now is higher. Now it would be a coin and an egg. The egg we pay from there, and there we go. And you can see, so exploring the caves multiple times per round is simply more expensive. But once you pay the cost, then the explorer will move from left to right and collect all resources indicated here. So, for example, here I could collect any one of the 4 basic resources that we mentioned earlier. There we go. I collect 1, continuing, I can gain a piece of meat, and then cash it on the dragon if I so desire. Cashing things on dragons will give you victory points at the end of the game. I go here and I gain a step on the guild. Again, be a little bit patient, I'll show you what that is. Here, see, there's no little walking explorer effect, so the explorer simply keeps walking there. Here we gain another resource, whichever we want, and then we meet that symbol there, which means that was enough for that exploration. But basically the explorer can keep going until they encounter that. That also means if a cave has been entirely excavated and filled with dragons, so the explorer will get to collect a lot of good stuff while exploring, just from the stuff from the board, plus possibly stuff from the dragons, and there is a slot at the end of each cave that also has extra advantages there. Whenever it is that the explorer needs to stop, at the end of the action, the explorer goes back to base camp ready to perform the next action. So this is the general idea of the 3 actions. As you can see, they're very simple. Play a cavern card, again, excavating the place, or place a dragon in an excavated space, or go and walk through the cave and collect all the rewards indicated by the exploration symbols. I mentioned several times the guild. The guild is this display here. That will take a tile at the beginning of the game, and there are multiple ones with different game effects, so you're gonna have variety here. They all have slots and specific effects. Now, when there is a game effect that gives you a step on the guild, you will simply take your token and move it by 1 step on this track, collecting all the rewards that you pass or land onto. And so, for example, if an effect gives me 2 steps right now, I get to collect a dragon card and I get to collect a cave card. Later, another effect gives me 2 steps, then I collect a crystal, and then I get here. And when I get to one of the 2 brown spaces, the reward is I can take a cube of my color and place it on an available, still empty square on the tile that is placed on the guild. And so, for example, I decide to place it here, gaining a coin and laying 2 eggs, for example. Or whatever it is, the advantage that you get. Some advantages will give you resources and options. Some advantages will give you scoring. That would be one such thing. The scores at the end of the game. These also score pretty nicely. And that is pretty much it. That is the general idea. So we continue for 4 rounds. And at the end, we're going to score points for the markers on the Dragon Guild. So here we go, the markers that are here. Points printed on dragons, end of game ability, each egg that we have, each cash resource, each card that is tucked under another card. They're all worth a victory point each. The public objectives. Those are the ones that we mentioned earlier, and so you just score whatever points your cubes are sitting on, and ultimately if you have remaining resources, those also will score you points, but definitely not many, as you can see there. Total all of your points, and the player with the highest score wins the game. I played this game with 1, 2, 4, and 5 players, and the experience changes dramatically based on the number of players. Solitaire comes with an automa, and that is very intuitive, very simple. It is the kind of AI that I like in games, that an AI that simulates the effect of other people's actions, not the causes, not the steps. And so you have a deck of cards, you reveal a card, and simply it will score some points, it will move on the guild, it will remove some cards, and at the end it scores a bunch of points and you're trying to beat that. Very simple, very intuitive, and so I can tell that this is a solid game, even if you're considering it only for solitaire play. When it comes to multiplayer, the experience changes dramatically. With 4, I liked it, and I thought that sometimes there were moments in which I wish it went a little faster. With 5 players, I'm not gonna recommend it because the game has very little interaction. You can plan some of your turns ahead, but not all of them. If you want to get a cave, if you want to get a dragon, the player before you may collect that, and then you have to plan your strategy at the beginning of your turn while there are 4 people waiting. And you will want to plan your turn accurately, because sometimes you're off by 1 resource and you can play a dragon that will give you some combo, that will give you an extra action. So sometimes the price for being slightly out of position can be significant, giving players an incentive to plan ahead carefully. And that's something that I want to point out. Players of Wingspan, just watching my overview, may have noticed that you are going to have a significant control over the resources that you get, especially with the extra layer of the cave cards that give you certain bonuses, triggering certain combos. So you're going to have more control over your strategy, and so you're going to have an incentive to strategize as much as possible, which again means with 5 players you're playing for 20% of the game, and the game is not snappy, doesn't move fast. I simply put, with 5 players I did not enjoy the experience. While I was still enjoying gameplay, I thought I wish it was fewer of them. And with 2 players, phenomenal, amazing, perfect. I'll say perfect. So I guess I haven't played with 3, but I think 2 or 3 is probably gonna be the perfect, the awesome sweet spot. With 2 players is exactly what I thought the game should be. Similar to with the Automa, because I was taking my turns very often, almost all the time. It felt that way. Between taking my turns or planning my turns, it was the perfect timing there. And then I really enjoyed this game. Oh my gosh, so much. The art is amazing, as you know. The fact that we have more dragon cards than we could ever possibly use in every single game, it means that every time is a fresh experience, because you are looking for possible combos with whatever is the selection of cards that are actually available for that session. So the game stays fresh, different opportunities, different things every time, with the different scoring objectives for each turn. That definitely drives gameplay. One game, the playful dragons and the aggressive dragons and the small dragons are more important. The ones that lay eggs are more important. Or the actual amount of eggs, slightly different. There is an objective for the slots where eggs can be played on your tableau, as opposed to another objectives about the actual eggs that you have. So very interesting things there. So the priorities will shift. So you have that tactical element going for the various objectives each round, but the strategic element, well, what if I can play an aggressive dragon that has a lot of slots for eggs, because that fulfills 2 objectives. So you're going to have, again, a lot of incentives towards responding to the current situation and creating a long-term plan. There's an engine building element, and if you watch some of my videos, you may know that I have a bit of a controversial feeling about it, bit mixed feelings, because I like engine building games more than I like engine operating games. Meaning there is an engine which is just awesome and I built it, and then I'm just making it work exactly the same every time, then it's kind of boring to me. Even if I win that way, it's just a trivial process. But here, well, I would say that the engines are gonna start running really well, starting from the third round of 4, and so the engines don't overstay. They're welcome to me. Also, if the engine allows me to collect a card, well, then I can choose every time what to do to convert a card into resources. Then I'm gonna look at the card that gives me the best conversion. So I found that the engine building element is fun to build, and it doesn't feel trivial or repetitive to operate for those like round or 2 in which it will really matter. The hatchlings are totally cute, and the mechanics is also very nice and thematic in that you take care of those, and the advantages build up. The guild is another way in which you can control your resources, and there is a nice opportunity cost to everything, because getting to a certain brown spot on the guild later is not the same, because the players may have taken some of the best spots. Those actions are really powerful, the ones on the guild, but the scoring opportunities are also very nice. So very excellent trade-off system in which you do cool stuff all the time, and all the time you think that there's other cool stuff that you would like to do. And to me, having interesting decisions, not being able to do all that you would want in a game is these are some of the elements that to me make a game engaging, fun, and exciting. And Wyrmspan is all of these things with lower number of players, 2 to 3, or for a solitary experience. I think that this is gonna see some significant amount of time on the table. For 4 or 5, maybe not so much. That's not my favorite way to play the game. 4, I would consider. 5, no, I would just play something else. And this is my assessment of Wyrmspan. At the lower amounts of players, phenomenal game.